Welcome back, everybody. Happy New Year. We've almost made it. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm happy to have all the accumulators and decumulators back to the Functional Retirement Podcast, where we get technical about your wealth, philosophical about your purpose, and inspirational on your health and fitness. I'm your host, Thatcher Taylor, and today we're talking about a massive decision that applies from age 62 to 70. Do you take Social Security, or do you utilize your IRAs for income? And how do you balance them both? That's the big question that a lot of retirees have when they're coming into retirement. But it only matters between age 62 and 70 because that's the decision window on Social Security. And the reason we're using Social Security and IRAs is because the majority of people have a lot of assets built up in IRAs or 401ks where they're tax deferred accounts. So in either one of these scenarios, there could be a taxable event on the creation of income. If you have Roth IRAs or other income sources, we're going to put those to the side for this particular discussion because you're going to see that there's going to be a lot of elements that are going to come into play with this today. So first off, it's almost the new year. I thank everyone for tuning in. This will be episode 24. So this is 24 or 23 or 24 new episodes of the Functional Retirement Podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in. Please go leave a comment on how you feel about the podcast, or if you have any questions about your particular financial situation or someone close to you's financial situation that you want me to answer, maybe turn into a podcast. So here's how we're going to structure today's show. There's going to be two huge components that we're going to discuss. It's going to be taking your IRAs first and delaying Social Security benefits. And the second is going to be taking Social Security first and delaying withdrawing money from your IRA. And we're going to discuss all the reasons to do each. And then I'm going to finish with the last part of this and what I think you should do. Now, obviously, I don't know your situation, but I'm going to tell you the thought process or how I would approach a client in this particular instance. And this is difficult for me personally because I have family members that have taken Social Security multiple times, that have taken Social Security early. And if they would have waited, it would have been substantially better. Now, it didn't turn out terrible, but taking Social Security at the proper time makes a massive difference in how you live in retirement. You've contributed for so many years, but you also have IRAs that have accumulated. And you're like, well, dang, if I don't take Social Security now, I got to liquidate some of my assets. So that balance is hard to find sometimes, but we're going to talk about some of those options today. Okay, so let's dive right into it. So first thing, tax deferred IRAs are designed to deliver after retirement cash flow. The same applies to Social Security, that it's supposed to be cash flow afterwards. How much from the IRAs is different because we're not exactly sure. We know how much we'll need, but how much they'll actually be able to deliver is uncertain. But with Social Security, we have a really good idea of how much will be delivered to you. So remember, this is between age 62 and 70. This is an 8-year decision window. And these decisions apply to a couple other things. They apply to the taxability of Social Security. So the more income you have on top of your Social Security, the more Social Security could potentially be pulled in and become taxable. In addition, if you're on Medicare, there could be IRMAA or Medicare surcharges that make your Medicare premiums cost a little bit more because your income is too high. So let's first go into the IRAs. These are the arguments for withdrawing your IRAs first. And I got to give a shout out. This does come back to Heather Schreiber. She's a Social Security and IRA expert out in the world. A lot of these are from her recommendation and guidance, but I'm also going to add a couple twists onto them as well. So number one is the arguments for taking your IRA money first. And I guess I should set the scene. You're 62. You are retired. There's no other income coming in. You're not getting income from W-2 work or a job or your career. So you have a decision to make. Do you want to tap your Social Security benefits, or do you want to tap your IRA benefits or your 401k benefits? That's the decision. So the first one is if you tap your Social Security at age 62, which is the earliest you can, you lose the ability to maximize your Social Security benefits. Delaying your Social Security benefits as long as possible will potentially deliver a higher lifelong income that could potentially be tax free. So here's what that means. At 62, you can take your Social Security benefit, but it's a reduced amount, maybe 30%. And that 30% is based off your full retirement age, which is most likely going to be age 67. That's your full retirement benefit. But if you wait until age 70, that full retirement benefit at age 67 gets an 8% boost every single year to its maximum benefit at age 70. So you are giving up a substantial amount of future income by taking your Social Security benefit early. So this is a big reason to potentially tap your IRAs and let your Social Security continue to grow. The reason that the reason that needs to be added to this is cost of living adjustments. Social Security comes with annual cost of living adjustments. If you take a Social Security benefit early at age 62 and it's been reduced by 30% and is locked in for your lifetime, the only thing you'll get is a cost of living adjustment, and that will be off a smaller amount. Say it's a 5% cost of living adjustment off $1,000 versus if you delay and you get a 5% benefit at age 70 off, say $2,000, and those are really low numbers. Your numbers are most likely going to be bigger than that. Your cost of living adjustments, your nominal increases are going to be bigger. So that's the value in maximizing your benefit and delaying and maybe tapping your IRA. Next is essentially life insurance. If you wait and delay your benefit, so essentially tapping your IRA for income and letting your Social Security delay and grow, and you have a spouse, if you pass away early and you are the maximum benefit earner, that spouse is potentially going to live longer than you and they're going to assume your bigger benefit. If you take your benefit early and you pass away early, you're giving your spouse a lifelong, smaller or minimized benefit. Tapping your IRAs for a little while to let that benefit maximize could be not only valuable for you in the immediate future when you take your benefit, but it could be really valuable for your spouse as well. The next one gets a little more complex. There's a little bit more of a tax shelter by delaying and taking your IRA. So, under current laws with Social Security and the IRS, many low and moderate income recipients owe zero income tax on Social Security benefits. You can get your full benefit, and you don't owe any tax on those benefits. The highest earning or the high income individuals in retirement, they still get to keep 15% of their benefits, but potentially 85% of a Social Security benefit could be pulled in from taxes. So the tax free amount reduces the potential for tax creep on the benefits. The higher the payout from delaying, the more cash flow is untaxed for affluent retirees. Here's what that means. If you delay your benefit, you're essentially going to get a bigger benefit. That's less money you have to distribute from IRAs. So you're going to potentially have less of your Social Security benefit pulled in to the taxable events on your tax return every single year. So that's the idea of delaying, trying to push the Social Security off a little bit further to let that benefit maximize so you can get more income and that's less you have to distribute down the road from your IRAs. The next piece is premium protection. So increasing unreported or untaxed income by delaying Social Security. So let's say from 62 to 67, you just use your IRAs to supplement your income for 5 years. And at 67, you turn on your full retirement benefit for Social Security. Delaying that benefit reduces the risk of becoming subject to steep income related monthly adjustment amounts. That's IRMAA. Income related monthly adjustment amounts. That's IRMAA premiums for Medicare Parts D and B. So you're protecting your Medicare premiums because when you sign up for Medicare, your Medicare premiums most likely are going to come from your Social Security check each month. If you are distributing not only Social Security, but your IRA dollars, you are adding more income on your tax return, which could pull you in to the Medicare IRMAA surcharges. And that's not the protection that you really want. If you're just taking your IRA income and you're balancing that income when you're taking Medicare at age 65, you're not going to have any additional surcharges as long as you keep that income at a certain threshold. And so I did a little research just to give people the idea of what the IRMAA surcharge is and the amounts. So Medicare beneficiaries who earn over $97,000 a year, that's 2023, it'll be 103,000 in 2024, and who are enrolled in Medicare Part B and or Part D, they pay the IRMAA surcharge, which is going to be added to your Part D and Part B, B and D, excuse me, premiums. So $97,000 a year and $103,000 a year. You really need to be aware of those numbers. Okay, the next portion is again tax related. Some people expect to have sufficient income in retirement to cause Social Security to be partially taxable. That's common. I see it a lot in my retirement planning where they're going to have income from maybe other sources where they just can't help it. Their Social Security is going to be taxable no matter what, up to 85% of it. Sources of the expected post career payments range, like I just mentioned. Adding Social Security to the mix could make that IRMAA more expensive. So you really need to balance the additional income sources. The reason for this is maybe you're getting enough income from other sources already. Maybe you don't have to tap your IRAs very much. So maybe you're just going to tap them a little bit and you can really let that Social Security benefit delay, which just sets you up. If you got other income sources and you delay, when you hit age 70 or 67 and you take those bigger benefits of Social Security, man, you get a free run to just start spending. The next reason you might want to tap your IRAs first is a longer life expectancy. The break even around Social Security is 84. And the break even means if you take your Social Security benefit early at age 62 and you pass away at 84, obviously none of us have a crystal ball, but you pass away at 84, it was better to take your Social Security benefit at 62. But if you live past 84, it was definitely better, or I shouldn't say definitely, it was most likely better for you to delay your Social Security benefit until then. That's the break even. So if you have a longer life expectancy, it's amazing on the back end how a bigger benefit with those cost of living adjustments keep your income bucket filled up throughout your life. And all you needed to do on the back end was, or excuse me, all you need to do on the front end was take a little bit from your IRAs to let that benefit delay and grow. These are some really good examples of why you should take your IRA dollars to supplement income from age 62 until your Social Security benefit. Okay, I hope you've made it this far. I know it's gotten really technical. Maybe it's even confused some of you and discouraged some of you, but that's okay. These are real concerns that need to be addressed. Please make sure to comment below if you have any questions. In addition, if you're watching this on YouTube, you get the comments. But if you're listening to this, you can go down below in the show notes. You can reach out to me directly. You can shoot me an email, and I'll be happy to answer any additional questions or additional clarifying questions. So, now let's move on to the options of Social Security first. There's a few of them here, and then we'll go over how I think through this process. So number one, taking Social Security first is health issues. We talked about that a little bit before. If you don't feel like you're going to live a long life, taking Social Security early and delaying the IRA is a really good option because now we've switched. Now we're thinking about taking your Social Security benefits early to supplement income and delaying withdrawing from your IRAs. If you got a short life expectancy for whatever reason, taking your benefit early is almost in every case going to be better. Dependent benefits. So some retirees in their early to mid 60s will have non-spouses. So family members that are non-spouse, maybe a child under the age of 18 or a dependent child who became disabled before age 22. Filing early can bring additional income to the household, which might be especially valuable. So Social Security has very specific guidelines and rules about disability in the household. If you have people that are disabled in your family, you taking benefits early allows them to access benefits in a better way for them because of how they are physically or mentally. So that could be an option for taking Social Security early and delaying the IRA benefits to later. Another option is if you're really an early retiree. So someone who left the workforce, you really do need income before full retirement age, which is usually age 67, you just have to have the income. Maybe you got laid off or let go, or you have just health issues where you just retired early. You just need the income. You have a very simple lifestyle and you just got to take it. I know we talk a lot in the financial advisor world about maximizing benefits, and usually we're talking about people with big asset loads or potential high income sources. But a lot of times that's not the case. You just need to take your benefit early if you're an early retiree. Uh, Spouses are the next piece of the puzzle. If you have a spouse that doesn't have an earnings record, so if you're married, you may have a spouse that was caretaker at home, house mom that did a phenomenal job raising children, and they do not have a long history of working. And so they have not accumulated enough to be able to get Social Security benefits. You have the ability to give them benefits when the first spouse claims. That opens up the spousal benefit. So, in balancing those numbers, about okay, so we're taking it early. Spouse A is going to take their benefit, which opens up spouse B to gain a spousal benefit. It allows them to start accumulating money earlier. And if we factor in some of those other elements like health and the family members and those types of things, it might be a good decision to really take your benefits early. Now, do know at 67, 68, 69, 70, there is a spousal benefit as well if you can delay that long. For some seniors, the next piece is it's enough is enough. That's essentially how Heather Schreiber says it. Their income will be met by mostly their Social Security. I have a situation right now where two clients, they have $39,000 a year of Social Security income between the two of them, and their expenses per year, their flat dollar bottom expenses are $36,000 a year. So they have enough income just from Social Security to cover their expenses because their lifestyle has been so minimized. That could be you as well. Next is leaving a legacy. Regardless of charity or charitable intent, some seniors may want to keep retirement accounts intact as long as possible. So I think this kind of goes into the previous one where enough is enough and you just want to take the income and run because it covers your expenses. A lot of times those individuals want to leave a legacy. They want IRA dollars or taxable buckets or trusts or Roth IRAs. They want those to pass on to heirs because Social Security really doesn't. You're not going to get the benefit passing to heirs like you will in those other investment type accounts. So by taking Social Security early, you're withdrawing less from your IRAs and you're allowing them to defer and compound over your retirement, and you can distribute those to your heirs. That's a pretty good option if that's really important to you. So now let's transfer on to how I think this all plays in, how I would view all this, because these are legitimate questions that I encounter almost every day. And so we have to evaluate each person as a financial planner on their own journey. We cannot assume everyone's on the same path or thinks the same way. So here's how I would view this. Say a person is coming to me, they're 60, they're trying to plan Social Security and retirement. The first place I would go is, how do you want this all to shake out? How do you want this all to go? And how long do you think you're going to live? How much income do you need? How long do you think you're going to need to spend that income? Do you think you're going to need to spend a lot of income late in retirement? Do you think you're going to need a lot of income early in retirement? Do you have a spouse? Is that spouse a lot younger than you? How many extra assets do you have? Do you have tax deferred accounts like 401ks and IRAs? Do you have tax-free accounts like Roth IRAs and life insurance? Do you have taxable accounts like your traditional brokerage accounts or joint accounts or trust accounts? There's a lot of things that come into play just based on the goals and the vision. Do you want to leave a legacy? Do you have insurance like long-term care insurance? Are you still under any term insurance in the event that catastrophe happened? We start to really look at the entire picture about how this all plays in. Then we move into, do you really think you're going to live a long time? Is there longevity in your life? Are you active? How do you eat? How do you take care of yourself? Do you go to routine checkups? How are your joints? How is your hips? Those types of things. And the reason I say hips is because a lot of people break their hips and then they go in for hip surgery and they have complications and they pass away. So how potential surgeries come into play. Now, obviously, we don't know. I don't have a crystal ball. We just have the idea of how much do you want to toe that gambling line of age 84 or whatever your break even is. It's usually about 82, 83, 84, somewhere in there. If you think you're going to live longer than that, or you're attempting to, it's sometimes better to delay your benefit, especially if your spouse is younger than you, because if you pass away at 84 and your spouse is 82, your spouse gets 2 years of a bigger benefit. Or if they live longer than that, they're going to get a maximum benefit, your bigger benefit. So there's a lot that plays into the income distribution strategy, including taxation. If you're really wanting to minimize taxation of Social Security benefits, it's going to be better to delay. But decisions like this are massive when it comes to retirement planning. They literally could be worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. And I mean that specifically. I run a very specific Social Security distribution program that gives as many options as possible on how to distribute a household Social Security or make a Social Security decision. And I've gotten up to 5 sometimes. And between decision 1 and decision 5, there's sometimes $300,000 to $400,000 of difference in income you receive because you delayed your benefit. You just have to battle through 4 or 5 years. And that's a lot of times where a good investment and income distribution strategy comes into play where, okay, we're going to spend some money. We might bleed down a little bit of your investment account, but once we turn on Social Security, now we're giving that investment account time to grow. So there's a lot of things that come into play. It's very important that you make these decisions because Social Security doesn't allow you to go back. You don't get to fix them. And if you do want to fix them, I think you have to pay all of your Social Security benefits received back, and you have to do it within a period of time. And what I mean is you have a certain period of time, I think it's 1 year, to retroactively fix it, and you got to pay all your benefits back. We don't want you to do that. We can make these good decisions before it happens with good planning and good structure. This is what you need to start thinking about next. These are some of the options that you need to start considering as you move closer to retirement in that 62 to 70 window. I hope this was helpful. If you have additional questions, please contact me below. Thank you for watching. Please leave a review, and we'll make sure to dig into this more in the future because this is a big, big decision that applies to the quality of your retirement and living optimally. Thanks for watching, and thanks for listening. We'll catch you next week.